Autumn's Farewell. Chapter 1. The Last Warm Light. Some goodbyes are quiet. They don't come with tears or loud words. They arrive with falling leaves and soft light. The town of Maplebridge was small, the kind of place where everyone knew each other's name. It sat between low hills and a slow river, and in autumn it looked like a painting. Trees turned gold and red. The air smelled like apples and wet earth after rain. Daniel Harper stood near the old bridge, his hands in his coat pockets. He watched the water move under him, slow and patient, like it had all the time in the world. He was 39 years old and tired in a way sleep could not fix. Daniel had come back to Maplebridge after 15 years away. When he left, he was 24, young, angry, full of plans. Now he was back with a small suitcase, a broken relationship behind him, and no clear idea of what to do next. He took a deep breath. "This place hasn't changed," he said quietly. Behind him, someone laughed. "You always say that when you return." Daniel turned. A woman stood a few steps away, holding a paper cup of coffee. She wore a brown scarf and a dark green coat. Her hair was shorter than he remembered, but her eyes were the same. "Emma?" he said. "Still slow, I see." Daniel's heart beat faster. "Emma Collins," he said. "I didn't think I'd see you here." "I live here," she replied. "Unlike you." He smiled, a little embarrassed. "Fair point." They stood in silence for a moment. Leaves moved around their feet. "So," Emma said, "why are you back?" Daniel looked at the river again. "I don't know yet." That was the truth. They walked together toward the town square. The old bakery still stood on the corner. The clock on the tower still rang every hour. Everything felt familiar and strange at the same time. "You look different," Emma said. "So do you." "I hope that's a good thing." Daniel nodded. "It is." They stopped near the cafe where they used to sit after school. The windows were foggy from warm air inside. "Do you want coffee?" Emma asked. "Yes," Daniel said, "very much." Inside, the cafe smelled of cinnamon and roasted beans. They sat near the window. "So," Emma said, more softly, "what happened?" Daniel looked into his cup. "I lost someone," she said. Emma waited. "My girlfriend. Not death, just life. We wanted different things." "I'm sorry." "Me too." They drank in silence. Outside, a leaf stuck to the window and slowly slid down. Later, Daniel walked alone to his parents' old house. It was empty now. His father had died 2 years ago. His mother lived in a smaller place near the church. The house stood quiet, like it was holding its breath. Daniel opened the door. Dust and memories greeted him. He walked into the living room, the same sofa, the same clock, the same photograph of him at 10 years old, standing with a fishing rod, smiling like the world was simple. He touched the frame. "Maybe it was," he whispered. That night, Daniel sat by the window with a cup of tea. The sky was orange and purple. The last warm light of the day rested on the trees. He felt something inside him, not pain, not peace, but waiting for something to end, or begin. Chapter 2. When the Wind Brings Truth. Autumn does not shout. It only whispers. But if you listen, you hear everything. The next morning, Daniel woke up before the alarm. The house was quiet, too quiet. He lay in bed and listened. No cars, no voices, only the soft sound of wind moving through trees. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then he remembered Maplebridge, his past, Emma. He sat up and rubbed his face. "All right," he said to himself, "let's start again." Outside, the air was cold and clean. Daniel walked toward the river path. He needed movement. He needed space. Leaves covered the ground like a soft carpet. Every step made a quiet sound. He followed the path until he saw Emma ahead of him. She was sitting on a bench, reading. "Good morning," he said. She looked up and smiled. "You walk like your father, quiet but heavy." Daniel laughed. "That sounds dangerous." "It means you think a lot." He sat beside her. "What are you reading?" he asked. "An old novel," she said, "about people who return home too late." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "That feels personal." "It is." They sat in silence again, but this silence was different, not empty. It felt full. "Why did you really come back, Daniel?" Emma asked. He didn't answer at once. "I was tired of running," he said finally. "Running from what?" "Myself." They walked along the river together. "You always left when things got hard," Emma said. "Not angry, just honest." Daniel nodded. "I know." "Do you remember the night before you left for the city?" "Yes." "You said you'd come back." "I did come back. 15 years later." Daniel stopped walking. "That wasn't the plan, but it was the result." The wind blew harder. Leaves moved around them like small waves. "I thought success would fix me, but it didn't." Emma looked at him. "What did you lose out there?" Daniel swallowed. "Time." They reached the old pier where children used to jump into the river in summer. Now it was empty. Daniel sat on the edge. "I broke someone's heart, and my own." Emma stood beside him. "You don't look broken," she said. "I feel unfinished." She smiled gently. "That's different." Later that day, Daniel helped his mother clean the house near the church. She was happy to see him, too happy. "You'll stay a while, right?" she asked. "I don't know yet," Daniel said. She nodded, but her eyes asked him to say yes. That night, Daniel lay in bed again. The wind moved the curtains. His phone buzzed. A message from Emma. "Autumn shows us what we carry." Daniel stared at the screen. He didn't reply. Not yet. Chapter 3. The Shape of What We Lost. The afternoon light was thin and pale. Daniel walked through Maplebridge with no plan, just letting his feet decide the direction. The town felt smaller than he remembered, but every corner carried a memory. He passed the old school building. The windows were new, but the walls were the same. He stopped and looked inside. A group of children sat in a circle, listening to a teacher read a story. Their faces were open and calm. Daniel remembered being one of them. He remembered believing that life would be simple if he worked hard enough. He walked on. At the edge of town, he found the small cemetery. The gate was open. The wind moved the tall grass between the stones. He didn't plan to go in, but he did. He walked slowly until he found the stone with his father's name. Harper, Michael, 1954, 2024. Daniel stood in front of it for a long time. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I wasn't here." The wind answered for him. He closed his eyes. He saw his father in the garage, fixing something with calm hands. He heard his voice, "Do it right or don't do it at all." Daniel smiled sadly. "I tried," he whispered, "but I forgot what right meant." Later, he went to the library. It was warm inside. The smell of paper and wood felt safe. Emma was there. She was sitting at a long table with a stack of books. "You follow me now?" she asked without looking up. "Only when you go to good places." She smiled. They sat together. "What did you lose out there?" Emma asked again. Daniel thought for a moment. "Myself," he said. She nodded. "I lost you," she replied. Daniel looked at her. "I didn't mean to." "I know, but meaning is not the same as choosing." They didn't speak for a while. Outside, the sky turned gray. "Do you still write?" Daniel asked. Emma looked surprised. "You remember that?" "Yes." "I do," she said. "Not for anyone else, just for me." "Can I read something?" She hesitated. Then she opened a notebook and pushed it toward him. Daniel read slowly. It was about a girl who waited for a boy who loved distance more than people. He closed the notebook. "It's beautiful," he said. "It's honest," she replied. That evening, Daniel sat alone again in the old house. He opened a box in the closet. Inside were letters he never sent, notes he wrote in the city when he was lonely but proud. He read one. "If I go back now, I'll fail." He laughed quietly. "Maybe I already did," he said. The wind hit the windows harder. Outside, autumn was closing its hands around the town. Daniel felt it, and for the first time, he didn't want to escape. Chapter 4. What the Quiet Teaches Us. The rain started at night and didn't stop in the morning. It was soft, but steady, like the town itself was thinking. Daniel walked to the cafe again. The windows were foggy. The doorbell rang when he entered. Emma was already there. "You're becoming predictable," she said. "Maybe I like that." They ordered coffee. They sat. They listened to the rain. "Do you believe people can really change?" Emma asked. Daniel thought. "I think people can remember who they were," he said. "That's harder." Emma smiled at that. Outside, a man walked by with a yellow umbrella. "Why did you write about me?" Daniel asked. Emma looked into her cup. "Because I never said it out loud," she replied. "Say it now." She met his eyes. "You left before I was ready to lose you." Daniel felt something tight in his chest. "I didn't know how to stay." "Staying is not about knowing, it's about choosing." The rain grew louder. Daniel nodded slowly. They walked after the cafe closed. The town was quiet. Lights turned on in windows. Smoke rose from chimneys. "Are you leaving again?" Emma asked. Daniel didn't answer right away. "I don't want to," he said. She stopped walking. "That's not the same as staying." He looked at her. "I'm scared," he admitted. "Of what?" "Of building something and breaking it." Emma took a deep breath. "Everything breaks," she said, "but not everything is empty." They stood under a tree with almost no leaves left. One fell between them. That night, Daniel wrote for the first time in years. Not for work, not for success, for truth. He wrote about Maplebridge, about Emma, about the man he was and the man he wanted to be. The words came slowly, but they came. The first frost came early. The grass was white in the morning. The sky was clear and cold. Daniel stood on the bridge again, where everything began. Emma came to stand beside him. "You always choose this place," she said. "It reminds me to stop running." They looked at the river. The water moved on. "So," Emma said, "what are you going to do?" Daniel took a long breath. "I'm going to stay. Not forever, but honestly." Emma looked at him. That's all I ever wanted. They didn't touch. They didn't rush. They just stood. Autumn was ending, but something else was beginning. The end.